All right. So we've got some of these clips here, and I want to try and give them a spooky look. Okay. So first, I'm going to click on and highlight the clip that I want to apply the spooky look to. Okay. So I'll just start with this wide shot here because it's got the most difference in lighting and color and background versus my close up. I may end up using a different style on my close up simply because of what's included in the frame. Once I highlight this, I'm going to click on the Effects tab up above. So I'm going to reconfigure Premiere so that I see my effects. Okay. And then over here on the right, I have all of my different effects panels. Okay. And the one that I'm going to pull up today is going to be Lumetri color. All right. And there are a lot of ways to approach doing some Lumetri color changes. And it's definitely a great place to just kind of experiment someday. Um, but I'm going to go back down. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to look under not basic correction, but the second one called creative. Okay. And creative is loaded full of what we call looks. Okay. So I'm just going to go through these looks, and one of them that I would suggest that some of you use is called, and there is called day for night. So let's see if I can find that again. Okay, this one's called SL Blue Day for Night. Okay, so especially all of you who shot, inside your house and you had all the normal bright light coming in, Day for Night, there you go, puts kind of a bluish tint on everything. All right, and it leaves some of the highlights pretty clean white, but it makes everything kind of dark and mysterious. Now, if you don't want to use day for night, feel free to go through and experiment with some others. Sometimes giving something a old-fashioned like film look to kind of make it washed out a little bit might be fun. I'm going to go back to the day for night because that's the one that I would like to work with. So they named it with such a small little name that I always have trouble finding it. There it is, SL Blue, day for night. Okay, so I like that. It makes things kind of dark and mysterious. You can, if you want to, go back to basic correction. And if you want to darken your shadows, okay, I clicked on the basic correction tab, which is just above creative. So we were in creative, and that's where we found day for night. And now we can go to basic correction, and you can go ahead and play with things like the color temperature. Like see, this makes it really blue. If I wanted it less blue, I could pull some of that out, but then it just kind of looks dark. So I'm going to keep that right in the middle. If I wanted to make my shadows darker, okay, I could pull down this shadows slider. If I wanted the whites to pop out a little bit more, I could pull those up too. Okay, and I might just do that. I might raise my whites up a little because it helps kind of bring out the contrast and make things a little bit more dynamic. All right, so I've got that guy, and I'm not going to play with it too much more because I think for demo purposes, you see how this works. And for each of you, it's going to be completely different. You have a different background, you have different colors, you have different amounts of lighting. So I think ultimately it's just important that you learn that this is here and you spend some time playing with it. Okay. After I did that, the next thing I kind of want to do to this is I want to give it a vignette look. All right, which gives it a really old-fashioned film look. So I still have this clip highlighted because this is the one that I'm doing all these modifications to. And I'm going to go into the effects panel. Okay. And I'm going to click up here in the top left over to Effect Controls. All right. So I'm going to Effect Controls, and now I'm going back down here, and I'm going to go to Vignette. All right. So there's a couple of ways that we can do this. We can go ahead and we can pull this in, and you see it makes like a little bubble. Okay. But honestly, I forgot. I don't really love that one that much. I'm going to go back up to opacity. Okay. So I'm going to use opacity to make this vignette. So I'm going to start with an ellipse mask. Okay. If you need a second to get there, I will. Yes, Emerson, I'm recording it. Okay, so under opacity and effects, okay, I'll show you what opacity does. If we just take this slider and we slide it down, opacity basically makes your footage transparent, but right now there's nothing but black underneath it. So if I make it transparent, it just gets dark, okay? If you were to layer things and you wanted to put like flames, you downloaded a video of a bunch of flames and you want to put those underneath your video and you lowered the opacity, what would happen is the flames would get blended into your footage, okay? But I'm going to just use this for its darkness. And so I'm going to create an ellipse mask first. So I'm clicking on that mask and you see that I have this circle that shows up, okay? In order to edit this circle, I can go in here and I grab these dots and I can stretch them out. And I'm just going to stretch mine out all the way out to the edges here. I'm probably going to adjust it a little bit more later. I can go ahead and I can pull this up closer to the top. And here, and later, I mean, if you wanted to, you could also grab this handle right here and you could, if I pull this out, this will give it a bit of like a diffusion. You see how it's kind of getting soft on the edges instead of hard on the edges. I'm going to Control Z and undo that. So you see right here, it has very hard edges. Now, if I go on the dot right here and I grab this and I pull this out, what it does is it diffuses the edges. And I like this diffused look. I think I might pull mine in just a little bit more here. And I might even push my footage forward to the point where I'm kind of closer to the middle of it. I'm going to pull this one in, definitely, because I had all the junk from my garage over there. And I'd like to kind of hide that part. You know, we kind of call this a proof of concept. Once we understand the timing and the effects, if we want to make a better one of these, we could choose better backgrounds, better costumes, and everything else. Okay, so I guess I kind of like that vignette look right there. And at this point, I can go ahead and just leave it. Okay, so I could just kind of have my spooky figure walking inside this vignette. But now it cuts over to this next shot and it doesn't have any of that vignetting on it and it doesn't have any of the color correction on it. All right, so at this point, I could redo all of those steps. I could click on this clip. I could go over to Lumetri. I could pick the Lumetri. I could go over to the mask. I could pick the mask, but that would be pretty time consuming. So there's a shortcut for this. We're going to highlight this clip and we're going to copy it. Edit menu, copy. Okay. And we can apply this just about any time we add different effects to things. So I'm going to copy the clip and then I'm going to go right here to this next clip. I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to say edit. I'm going to paste attributes. Okay. I'm not pasting the clip, but I'm pasting the attributes. The attributes are all the settings that we've used to make this clip look the way that it looks. Okay. So I'm going to click on attributes and then it's going to ask me which attributes I would like to change. Okay. So opacity is what we use to create this vignette. And so, yes, I want to paste the opacity on. And then effects, you see that I've got Lumetri color as one of my effects. So I'm going to go ahead and leave both of these boxes checked. If ever you wanted to like limit, you know, you just had an effect, but you didn't want, say, like the time remapping, or you did some animation to it and you didn't want that to be pasted on another clip, you could definitely uncheck something like motion. And then we'll go ahead and click OK. And now, there we go. We see we have this vignette here. Boom, and it's here, and then it stays the same. Okay. So again, I would go over to this clip because I have this one here. and I'm going to say edit, and I'm going to say paste attributes and opacity and effects, and let's say okay. All right, so I can do that all the way down. Edit, paste attributes, okay. All right, so now everything's kind of looking a little bit creepier. Now on this last one, I'm going to go in, edit, and I'm going to paste attributes, but I kind of would like my vignette to be a little bit bigger here, okay? So I could very easily just click on this clip, and because this is the one that's highlighted, up here, I can go ahead and click on opacity, click on my mask, and now I can make adjustments to it. So maybe I just want to pull it out a little bit, or as a bonus, what if I wanted to animate the mask? Okay, I wanted the vignette of the mask to go all the way out so that we don't see it anymore. I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick, just so you could see how that would work if you wanted to. Okay, so here I'm just going to go back to the beginning of the clip, and I'm going to go ahead and here where it says mask, okay, mask in right here, we'll just say we're going to click on the mask expansion. There we go. Let me Control Z that. Okay, so mask expansion is at 0 right now. And you notice right here, you can see it just in there, it set a little keyframe. Okay, so it set just the tiniest keyframe. And then I can go ahead and maybe I move this forward a little bit to like right about there. And that was just a couple of seconds. And now I'm going to increase the mask expansion. So there it expands out to like no vignetting. And you'll notice there's another dot that gets entered here. Okay, these are those keyframes. So this is going to be a mask with no expansion. And then as it moves to here, the mask is going to get expanded. So watch. See how it slowly just moved out. Okay, this is how these keyframes work. You'll notice you can do keyframes on just about anything. Okay, so now I've got a great sequence with some basic action. I've got a vignette. I've got a Lumetri color filter. Okay, and I even added a little bonus. I animated the mask to come out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording rather than making like hour-long recordings of lots of different things.